Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
This show is brought to you by the Open to Hope Foundation in partnership with the Compassionate Friends. Well, Heidi, we've got some guests on that we've actually done a YouTube with at the Compassionate Friends National Conference, and it is a great YouTube. So I hope people will go on and look under Open to Hope and find this YouTube. Introduce our guests, Heidi, and we can talk about that more.
Okay, well, so we're talking today with two guests, which is kind of fun because we usually only have one guest here. So I love that this husband-wife team is here. It's great. So Kelly and Jay Kovaleski, and their son Nicholas died in 2011, and they've written a book called Navigating Life, Living with Purpose After Loss.
I so appreciate your coming on and your willingness to help other people who in bereavement had kids die. Tell us a little bit about Nicholas. You've got a picture you can show us too, right?
We do. So Nicholas is our second born of four. We also have two other boys and a girl. And Nicholas was 14 in this picture. He was sick for about 10 months before he passed away in 2011. So it was just over 7 years ago. But Live with Purpose comes from Nicholas because that was kind of his motto. He had it hanging in his bedroom, and he looked at that every morning and said, you know, that matters to me. And so it mattered to us once, especially after losing him. It was kind of like a piece of him that we could hold on to.
You know, he never put anybody down, whether he wanted them in his group or not. He never looked down on anybody. I coached swimming and tennis, and Nicholas was on my swim team. He was on my tennis team as well.
Wow.
Nicholas also played football.
You've just got to feel when something like this happens. How could a kid who is so healthy and athletic and able to do it, how could this happen?
Right. I mean, he's one of four kids. We raised them all the same. They ate the same foods. They went to the same doctor. They went, they had all their well-care visits. And so it was really shocking, to say the least, when he was diagnosed with leukemia. We thought actually he possibly had mono just from his symptoms. And you spend a lot of time wondering, well, why that one? Or, it's not just like why me or why us, but how is it that one that was his fate? And, it's really hard to come to terms with that. You kind of do over time. And I've really just had to accept the fact that, Nicholas's life was exactly as long as it was supposed to be.
Wow. That's a big step to come to that.
Well, it's 7 years to be able to say that, but you have to find a way to live. And for me, that was something I had to really just take a hold of to be able to move forward.
And Jay, how about you? What have you taken this journey?
We take different paths, Kelly and I. When Nicholas was diagnosed, she was home. And they talked me into going up with my brother-in-laws up to Alaska, and as soon as for moose hunting, and as soon as we got to our cabin, we were getting things ready. The phones rang. My phone rang, and they told me that Nicholas was diagnosed with leukemia, and so we spent the next 19 hours trying to get back to New York. And for me, I got back, and my job for the next 10 months was pretty much taking care of the three other kids. Mm-hmm. And Kelly was in the hospital, advocating for Nicholas and making sure everything was going smooth. And so we were at, kind of different levels in what we had to do. So unfortunately, when, after Nicholas passed away, we were grieving differently. Mm-hmm. And, things would come upon me and not Kelly at a moment. And, and they said he'd had some good days. He'd be able to come home and be with us in between treatments and all. And it really never happened. Every little nuance or something that could happen happened to Nicholas with all the treatments.
We tried to do the things that we felt we needed to do to be able to give doctors the answer to say no more. And at that point, we decided that we needed to know if he was going to survive. And so we had them take him off the vent, and he was only alive for about 40 minutes. And then he passed. But he had not been consciously awake for about 2 weeks before that happened. So that was our time where we kind of got on the same page and said, this is what we both kind of knew in our heart of hearts that this was what was going to be, although you can't imagine what that's really going to be like, obviously, until it happens. But it put us on the same page, which was nice because we had been so separately holding up each end of the family at that point. So.
Wow, tough decisions that people have to make.
Mhm.
I want to say one thing, you guys are still together.
Yes.
I mean, did you hear people telling you that you're high risk for divorce and all that kind
Right.
of thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And we just kind of, we just decided we weren't going to lose anymore. It hasn't been easy because definitely
Yeah.
I'm clearly the talker and he's not. So, we work through all that. I do a lot through pictures and grieving and that kind of thing. And that really sets Jay off. So we've had to really just learn how to work with each other.
I'd like to say it's, you like to stereotype, but my husband does the picture stuff and it drives me nuts.
Okay. Yeah. But it seems like there's one or the other, right?
He does the albums and I'm like, I never, and he says, you never look at my albums, that.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's an interesting process. So, Jay, from a guy's point of view, how do you see it? You don't talk as much. What about guys?
What about guys? Well, we just went to a group a couple days ago, actually, with some couples, and the husbands were brought along. Once we start talking with each other, a lot of them it's more physical. Where they have to get out and do something. And for me, every morning, whatever you want to call it, it's kind of like a run. And the older you get, the slower you go. But it gets my mind set for the day, and it really helps me to center myself. And then I get a chance to go and and teach my classes. We're both teachers,
Okay.
and for that, that was a godsend for me. Youth, kids, they're so honest and true, and when things, even now, small talk with my cohorts or whatever, is tough. I can't handle too much small talk.
Yeah.
So I guess talking to a lot of gentlemen, even at the Compassionate Friends conference this past couple months, this past summer, and a lot of them were talking about not trying to hold and put that front on for their wives and for their family, and but others no. I mean, there's some it's just you just gotta let it go,
Uh-huh.
and show the honesty of your emotions to your family.
Yeah. Heidi, I'm thinking what a gift these two are to kids that they teach.
Absolutely. I am just struck, I've got to say, by the fact that here you guys are a very health conscious family. You are very active. You are a coach. You start your day running. You can tell you're a very active family. And yet your son, at a very young age, all of a sudden gets cancer and is dead within 10 months. And, like you said, there's just sometimes we will never know why. You just don't have the answers, and you never will, and it's hard because we want to have all these answers, but at the end of the day, there was nothing that you could have done. And I love that you guys are really making a commitment to staying healthy, because as a child, the siblings out there want to see their parents getting up like you are, Jay, and running. We are terrified that somebody else is going to die in our lives, and to see our parents taking care of themselves is very important. So I want to thank you for doing that. I mean, we might not say it to our parents, but I remember when my mom would start the day running, and I was glad because I was like, okay, she's taking care of herself. That's a good thing.
I think they worried about me a lot because my health suffered some, and just kind of who I was and who I had to become again was really a process that they've all watched, but they've also been part of it. We've tried to really just be open with them, and I'm sure we've made lots of mistakes, but we have worked really hard with the relationships with our kids so that they can hopefully be healthy and happy, because that's really all we want. And we don't know how long that's going to be. We don't know if it's 20 or 30 years or 40 or 50 or God forbid less. And so that's kind of just been the focus, which is really, where our story has led us.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell us about your book and show us your book.
Okay, so our book is called Navigating Life, Living with Purpose After Loss, because, well, like I said, Nicholas liked the saying, live with purpose. And so we created a website based on that phrase, live with purpose. And Navigating Life came from just us navigating. It came from a compass bracelet that I acquired after Nicholas passed. And Jay was looking for something. We really wanted to be able to reach out to youth specifically at the beginning, because we think that in what we see, they don't always take their lives as the precious gift that they are. And so our gut belief is that if we can help show them that they were created for a purpose, regardless of what that purpose is, we just wanted to share that word with them. And Jay will talk to his kids about how our son, he didn't get a chance to play tennis or go to high school or learn to drive. And so that was where the premise from that came from. But as we started to talk to youth groups, the parents in the peripheral of those workshops were like, wow, that really spoke to me too, or that spoke to me as well. And so it kind of has now become more of just for people. And the navigation part, like I said, is just about looking at a compass and trying to base our lives in this busy world today. So the directions have different meanings.
North is like where your heart is. It could be family. It could be something that happened to you in the past. West is your past. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, indifferent, it doesn't matter. South are those detours. Unfortunately, some can be, horrific. And our east is our future, which mm-hmm. can change as soon as you step through the door, as soon as we turn off this computer. Mm-hmm. And everybody just kind of needs to know that and keep that close to their hearts. And it's a nice way of tangibly, looking at your life, no matter where it's at.
So our book is really the backstory of where the workshop came from, because it talks a lot about Jay and my journey after Nicholas passed. And so it helped just kind of give us really the roots as to why we have this workshop and what we hope to gain from it. But also the book stands alone, so if people just are more of a type to read and internalize themselves, hopefully they can do that with that. But it's a lot about being retrospective and looking back and kind of almost the rose-colored glasses kind of view, but sometimes we need to really simplify life because things are so hard and so difficult at so many different times in our lives. And so we just found this to be a way that something that was tangible for us.
Heidi and I are always struck by the fact that when people are at a certain level and can start moving forward and giving back, it even the smallest way, but you guys are doing it in such a big way, aren't they, Heidi?
Absolutely, Mom. And I love the north, south, east, and west metaphor.
It's not a fix-all. The only fix-all is having our kids back.
Yeah,
absolutely. I say that all the time as a psychologist. I say at the end of the day, the thing that we want most is to have my brother, your son, back in the room.
Right.
So we can't do that, so we have to go to plan B and kick the hell out of it, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are doing it. I know people that are watching this video are going to want to know when you do workshops, how can they find out what you're doing, and can they go online and find you?
So on our website, which is www.purposewny.com, we do have a calendar set up there. You can also contact us through there. We actually went back to St. Louis just 2 weekends ago to do a Bereaved Parents of the USA workshop or conference day that they were having there. So we ultimately would love to go places and do that. And so we're willing to talk with any group from kind of any location to work something out for us to be able to do that. We also have upcoming, we're presenting to a grad class, a death and dying bereavement class at one of the local colleges, Roberts Wesleyan. Someone's having us come out there. So we're really not opposed to any kind of grouping or, we just really want to go to where people want us to come.
Anywhere, everywhere, at any time.
All right, I love it. Before we close the show, can you each give us a tip or an idea for someone who's lost their child recently?
I think that tip is listen to your own heart. People will have lots of advice, but even people who are also bereaved can't tell you exactly what's right for you.
You can't push someone to be where you're at, because you won't be where they're at. Everybody's going to be at different levels, and even now we're still at kind of different levels.
Right. But you can still love each other.
Yep. Yes.
I love it. All right. Well, you guys are amazing. And thanks everybody for watching this video today. And we hope that you'll tell your friends and family about it. And Heidi and I always want to remind you that if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own, and visit us at opentohope.com. And God bless.